Not So Glamorous. Chapter 1, The Weight of Dreams. Maria Lentz's world was a small apartment with paper-thin walls, stained by years of rain leaking through a weary roof. Mold crept into the corners and the kitchen floor groaned under every step. In the single bedroom, she, her mother, and her father had learned to sleep in a careful rhythm, making do with the limited space. Maria lay awake for hours on the mattress she shared with her parents. The slow wheeze of the ceiling fan cut through the silence, but her mind was wide awake, racing with calculations and dreams, a hunger for something more than the decaying city of Brescia. Today, she whispered, today I study harder. She slipped out of bed before sunrise, her ambition a louder alarm than any clock. At the wobbly kitchen table, piled with old test papers and worn math books, she lit a small kerosene lamp. The flame flickered, a fragile echo of her own struggle, as she hunched over her notes, reciting to herself. In that moment, the broken apartment disappeared. There was only her dreams, and a fire that poverty couldn't extinguish. Her mother, Selma, emerged from the bedroom, her hair wrapped in a scarf and her faded supermarket uniform freshly pressed. Maria, she said softly, placing a chipped cup of tea beside her. You'll ruin your eyes reading in the dark. I have to, Mama, Maria replied without looking up. The Sauer High scholarship exam is in 2 weeks. Selma simply nodded, placing a hand on Maria's back. She didn't mention their financial struggles or the odds against them. She just said, then you'll pass. Maria's father, Dana, appeared next, limping slightly from an injury that never fully healed. Once a respected building inspector at Kresholt International, he now wore a reflective orange vest, his trash cart waiting outside. Morning, sunshine, he said, his voice still holding the strength life had tried to steal. He sat with her, his fingers tracing her notes. Rewriting essays again? The prompt changed. You're going to win this, Maria, he said. I have to. Dana's life changed 5 years ago when a section of the Kresholt construction site collapsed. He was one of the lucky few who survived, but his leg was permanently injured. Kresholt fired him, citing negligence despite his perfect record. When he and others tried to protest, they were met with threats. A brick thrown through their window, a note wrapped around it, you talk, you die. They never spoke of it again. Dana became a trash collector, Selma cleaned floors, and Maria's education became a quiet but fierce act of rebellion. Their apartment building sat in the heart of Brescia's slums, a place of tin roofs and crumbling staircases. It was a place of loud arguments over debts but also of children's laughter, women braiding hair, and men singing after long work days. Maria wasn't ashamed of her home, but she knew she had to leave. At school, her uniform was always faded and her books were second-hand, yet she was always at the top of her class. She kept her head down, tutoring younger kids for a few coins, helping her mother with laundry, and selling groundnuts on weekends. She did anything to ease the family's burden and keep the lights on. At night, she would stare at the crack in the ceiling, whispering her dream like a prayer, a full scholarship to Sauer High School of Art. A new life. Sauer High wasn't just a school, it was a world away in the coastal capital, Astera. It was a prestigious boarding school with an elite arts program and a reputation for producing successful filmmakers and designers. Maria had memorized every detail about it, and she was betting her entire future on getting in. On the day of the exam, she wore her best white blouse and a slightly too short navy skirt. Her shoes were worn, but her spirit was steady. As others arrived in sleek cars with private tutors, Maria walked in alone, clutching a black pen and her father's lucky pencil from his office days. The test was difficult, but when she got to the essay, she didn't hesitate. The prompt asked, how has your environment shaped your dream? Maria wrote, I come from a place where windows are broken but hearts are not. A place where my father limps but still smiles. Where my mother sings while scrubbing supermarket tiles. My environment hasn't broken me. It has carved me. Sharpened me. Built me. I don't dream despite my poverty, I dream because of it. She finished just as the proctor called, "Pens down." Back home, she said nothing about the exam, just hugged her parents and went to bed. Weeks later, a cream-colored envelope with a gold seal arrived. Maria held it for a long moment before opening it. When she finally did, she gasped and fell to her knees. Her mother rushed to her, fearing the worst. But Maria just sobbed, pushing the letter into her hands. Selma read the first line aloud. "We are pleased to inform you that Maria Lenza has been awarded a full academic scholarship to Sauer High School of Art." That night, their tears were of joy, soaking into the old couch as laughter filled the small apartment. Neighbors peeked in, sharing in their rare happiness. In that moment, the family from Brusca had reached a summit. The cracked floor, the flickering lights, none of it mattered. For the first time in her life, Maria saw the horizon ahead, full of promise and light. Not so glamorous.